workout, but I'm just meal prepping for the week. And I just thought I'd go live because why not? Okay, so yeah, and if anybody joins on here, then we can chit chat. Oh, shoot. And if not, then you don't. Then it's not meant to be. Welcome to Fireside Chats for Global Women. And I'm just doing day-to-day stuff that all global women do, whether you are a single woman, a married woman, a mother, or whatever it is. But you are probably doing what you must do to ensure that you eat and that you eat well and that it's benefiting you. So anyway, I am actually prepping. This is salmon. It looks like tuna, but it's salmon. I'm gonna do salmon all week. I'm gonna bake these, season them up, bake them, put them in some foil, slice them in half, and basically one will make up two. So I will have food for the rest of the week, and I'm gonna roast some yellow potato, golden potato, or whatever you call it. I'm gonna saute some mushrooms, and I'm missing something. Oh, and I'm gonna stir fry some veggies. And I just got the frozen veggies. I wasn't about buying all of these ingredients. I'm just gonna stir fry these. And you know when you buy plastics, you lose the tops and things like that. So I had to buy some more today. So I went to Publix today and racked up. And has the price of food gone up? The price of food is going up along with gas too, right? What in the hell? I mean, for one mango, it's like, all right. It's even more motivation to get our own land and grow our own food, because this shit is over. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous when we can grow it ourselves. I'll be right back. Hold on. I'll be right back. All right. So I am going to, while I meal prep, because it always feels good to just have a glass of wine when you're cooking. Ladies, have a glass of wine when you are making your meals. Something about your meals just come out so much more exquisite. So have a glass of wine. My favorite wine is Sauvignon Blanc from Napa Valley, California. New Zealand is not my favorite. I absolutely do not like Sauvignon from New Zealand. I prefer it from Napa Valley. It just tastes different. If you don't believe me, try it yourself. Okay, anyway, I'm going to pour me a glass. And I don't know what I'm going to chat about. I guess whatever comes up will come out. Whatever that'll be. I don't know what that will be. We will see. I don't know what that will be, but we will see. Universe, ancient ones, what would you like me to chat about? For those that are here or will watch this later, what message do you want to deliver, universe, ancient ones? What message do you want to deliver? Sorry I've got my back turned, but I'm opening the wine over here. So anyway, what message do you want to deliver, ancient ones? What message do you want to deliver? Well, I'll just say this. I'll just share this insight with those of you who follow me on Instagram. Turn this way. This oven is hot, but you follow me on Instagram at Timmesha Burgess. Timmesha. Burgess, B as in boy, Urgess. Follow me on Instagram. You've probably seen that I made a post about receiving my copyright. And I know quite a few people were curious about what I've been working on behind the scenes, why I haven't been as active on social media probably for the past year. and it's because I've been working on some things. And one of those things have been receiving my copyright and trademark. And I've since been able to hire an attorney to register my trademark. And the trademark is under a different name since I am evolving the brand of Fireside Chats for Global Women. It'll always be here, but I am being called to do other things and to go higher and further and deeper and wider. So anyway, I have applied for my trademark. That's currently pending. And I also submitted for my copyright, which I actually received my copyright certification last month. And so I shared that on my Instagram. And the reason why I submitted for a copyright is because I finished writing my first book last year, but I couldn't share anything about it because, of course, I needed my copyright, and that was just pending for some time. And so I finally got it. So cheers to that. Boop. All right. So anyway. So I'm not going to give the name of the book yet. I actually just, ladies, when you are being called to do some things, to create some things, to birth some things into being, and it's things that have not previously existed, maybe in some form, but not in the way that you would create it and do it, right? We all have our own fingerprints. So the way we speak, write, teach, love, hug is unique to our own existence. It's unique to ourselves. And so when you're called to do something like with this journey of, first of all, writing this book, I want to just say that, number one, completing the book, I had never planned to write a book in my life. I never desired to write a book, ever. If you look at some of my old videos or even read some of my old articles, you'll see that I mentioned in a few articles that I wrote on my LinkedIn page that I believe it was Me Too, Shifting the Narrative, a New Thought Perspective about Turning Pain into Power. It was one of my first articles, as well as Anxiety Speaks. I mentioned that I'd never write a book. I mentioned that I would never write a book, but how the universe has different plans for us. When we think we got it all figured out, you know, I know this saying when it says, if you want to make God laugh, tell him or tell her. It's a whole conversation for another time. Tell him your plans. And so, yeah, I never planned to write a book. And after I was taken on this particular journey, the universe said, like hell, you're not going to write a book. And so I have. And let me just tell y'all about the process of this book, but let me get this food kind of seasoned up first. I wish I had some music playing, but I don't have any. Unless music might be too much of a distraction anyway. Let me just get this foil out because I don't want to make noise and talk. 1 second. So whenever you ladies are watching this later, I want to season this up really quickly. And I'm cooking my fish in foil. I need a bigger baking pan. And I know I do, I just still didn't get it. Still didn't get one. Anyway. Hold on. are like, what are you putting on your fish? It's a secret. I'm not telling y'all no secret. I do my own thing with my fish, but I always gotta put butter, real butter, okay? I always do lemon, apple cider vinegar, and then all of my seasonings, whatever seasoning you would typically want to put. That's how I do my fish. And usually I grill my salmon, but I don't feel like doing all that. I just want kind of simply seasoned fish. Just want a little bit of seasoning, some butter, and call it a night. And I am meal prepping for the week, so I don't have to think about this tomorrow. All right. So what was I saying? What was I saying? Got your seasoning cabinet. All right. So gotta have that seasoning salt. Gotta have it. Listen, if you're the person that doesn't eat salt, then I'm not the cooker for you, because I do use a little salt on my stuff. Just a little bit. Salt brings out the flavor. But anyway, so the process of this book has been interesting. Number one, let me just say, it took me, I was in my home for 3 months and I didn't leave the house. Like, I did not leave the house for 3 months. When I did leave the house, I stepped out on the back patio, the back deck, to get some fresh air, or I would stand outside in the front and, just get some sun, and I would be back in. When I was speaking to, because I've spoken to several editing, publishing companies about this book, and people who were potentially going to be the editors and stuff like that. And I remember speaking to this young lady out of New York. No, excuse me, out of Los Angeles. No, New York. I think out of New York. I won't mention her name, but she's been featured in like Glamour magazine and stuff like that. She has, and as well, I guess, her editing company. And so I remember speaking to her and telling her, how this book was born, out of me. How it's not a book that I have written. It's a book that has been written through me. And I'll continuously say that this is a written work that has been written through me. And this book literally chose me, like a child would choose its mother to be born through. It literally did. And so I was in my home, nose into my laptop, waking up at 2 and 3 a.m., 4 a.m., because I'm getting channeled downloads about what needs to go in this book. I'm waking up in the middle of the night, and I have my altar next to my bed. And I'll wake up again 2, 3 in the morning, what many would call the so-called witching hour. And I am getting messages about what needs to go in this book. Messages not just from my own experience, but I would hear things, just for an example, go and define licorice. and I'm saying that because I see my licorice mint tea right here. Go and define licorice. 3 in the morning, I'm waking up, licorice, define licorice. I would have to get up, get my phone, pull up licorice, pull up many different meanings of licorice, and I would see how it aligned with the messages that are in the book, and I would have to include the definition of licorice in my book, in this book, in the universe's book. Okay, 3 months of no sleep. So anyway, I was talking to the young lady. Let me get back to the point I was making when I was talking to this editing company. I was talking to the owner of this company, and this is a younger, maybe my age, white female, and I'm not quite sure what her religious beliefs were, or I don't want to insinuate, but just based on the conversation, when I mentioned to her that I was literally possessed writing this book, she was so taken aback by me using the term possessed. She said, well, you mean that just metaphorically, right? I said, well, what do you understand possession to be? And she says, like when something evil comes in. I said, something evil? What makes you think it'd be evil? She said, well, that's what we understand possession to be. I said, well, that's what you understand based on what you've been taught about possession. But when you actually define the word possession, you'll see that it aligns much like when. So I grew up Christian. I am not I don't belong to any religious doctrine right now. I am a spiritual being. So, but my mother did raise us Christian, Baptist, whatever you want to call it. And, I remember having a conversation with my mom, and I said, when we ask the Holy Spirit to come in, isn't that like being possessed? And I remember my mother's like, oh, how could you say such a thing? This was many years ago, many years ago. And so I brought up the same subject to her. I said, I don't know what your beliefs are or what your ideas are. I said, but if you consider possession evil, then you may want to consider that as it relates to asking the Holy Spirit or angels or even Jesus to come into your life, into your body, and guide you and lead you, right? It's the same idea of possession. So now what is your idea of possession? And she was very, very quiet, right? And so I realized on this journey with birthing this book that there will be a lot of people that will be uncomfortable with the content and the messages that I share in this book. There will be, will cause people to question themselves, which is what my messages and philosophies have been about thus far, was questioning everything we've ever been taught about ourselves and about the world around us, especially as women. And so I did not move forward with her because she was not an energetic match to what Activate requires. And it's quite funny because this process has been, this book has actually been choosing for itself who it wants to be a part of its birth. And it's funny, I was mentioning to a few of the people that I spoke with, saying, I am looking for midwives for this work. I'm looking for midwives, for my spiritual midwives, to help me give birth to this work. And so that woman clearly was not the midwife, because she couldn't align with she can't align with the language in which it is written. And I remember the conversation, her, saying, well, I mean, don't you think it's a bit too raw and, just, really she wanted to say too much. It's too much for some people. And I said, well, then it's not for those people. And, I said, if there are people who want the cakewalk, then there are other books that have been written way before I came along, in which they should read before they even make it to mine. I can refer them to a few. This isn't for the beginners. This isn't for people who are just coming into the idea of consciousness. Okay? This is for people who have been deeply knowing things for some time, but haven't had the people around them to talk to about it. Didn't have the information around them to talk to about it. They just knew it on a deeper level, but couldn't explain it. And so here this book is as proof for those of you who have had many questions about yourself, about who you are, not only who you are, about what you are, why you're here on this planet, and what you're here to do. And if you're new to the idea of journeying through darkness, the idea of darkness in and of itself, the ideas of the things that go bump in the night, the ideas of monsters under your bed, the idea of facing your demons, which this book far exceeds the idea of just facing your demons. This book sheds light on becoming friends with your demons. This book sheds light on not only facing your demons, but showing them some fucking respect. Woo! Yeah, I know. As I said, it is a book that's been written through me, through my experiences, those seen and unseen. And it's not for everybody. And this is something that I mentioned to the young lady. So needless to say, I did not move forward with her. I did just get off a conference Zoom call with another editor. So let me just say, I've interviewed 7 editors. 7 for this book. And just today, I've solidified 1 out of those 7 through a company. I won't mention the name of the company yet, but through a company. The editor is out of New York. Very open-minded man. And initially, I was interviewing all female editors. Female editors and writers. Some females who've written their own book. As you know, this is Fireside Chats for Global Women. So, you know, I looked for the needle in the haystack unicorn female species to align with this work. And it turned out to be our yang energy to come on, and which I think is absolutely amazing because you can't have one without the other. And I think that's absolutely divine that the universe would choose a male who is skilled, who's talented, has been doing this for some time, written books on it of his own. And I'm excited to see, you know, see this work come to full fruition and published and in the hands of those of you that it's meant for. But there's so much more to there's so much more about this journey of writing this book and getting it to the point where it is now. And I want to share more with you. If you happen to be called to write your own book. And now, again, this was not something that, you know, there are folks out there who, they wrote a book because they've always wanted to be a book author. They always wanted the title author. I don't give a shit about that. Again, I never wanted to write one, but I was called to. And I was called to because I know that we are held responsible for what we know. We are held responsible for how we share information with others. We are held responsible for what we know. We are held responsible for the knowledge that we carry. And if I had chosen to not do this, I would have suffered immensely. I would have continued to suffer immensely. I would have continued to suffer from my own extreme levels of anxiety and depression and thoughts of suicide. If I refused to write this work, if I refused, there would have come a point where I would have desired to take my physical life. And I know that sounds like, what do you mean? What is that? What are you saying? when you're being called to create, to give birth to things, as women, we give birth to more than just children, no. When you are called to give birth to things, to ideas, to concepts, to creations, and you refuse to do that, you bring about a level of suffering on yourself that's unfathomable. And I only can say that because I've experienced that. Let me tell you something. There's one thing that I stick to. Nobody can tell me how to get through a hell they've never been through. You see a number of people out here talking about mental health and meditation and taking deep breaths and going for walks. And while meditation and taking deep breaths and going for walks are powerful tools, you can't even get to that point of even wanting to do that. Taking deep breaths when you are questioning why you are even breathing at all. You cannot even get to the point of wanting to take deep breaths and counting to 10 when you have questions about why you are even breathing at all. I remember having this meeting with this very large organization who partners with UN Women, partners with the World Health Organization, UNICEF. And they have this global meditation thing, and I think it's really nice. And meditation obviously is a very powerful tool. But, what I proposed to them, I said, listen, I think what you're doing is great. I think teaching breathing. So a part of their mission is working with girls outside of the U.S. Who have escaped very heinous type of experiences, sexual trauma and things like that. And so I'm coming in to introduce who I am and what my philosophies are about and how my philosophies support women and girls who have survived FGM, female genitalia mutilation, who have survived child marriage, who have survived any type of sexual trauma, rape, molestation. And how my philosophies help to enlighten those who've gone through these experiences, not just about the experience, but what the experience taught them to suppress about themselves and how to reactivate that and how to unleash that again. And so they say, well, we teach these meditation techniques. And I said, that's great. That's wonderful. But how do you sit with a young girl who was just raped by her uncle or her father and tell her to take deep breaths about it? At this point, the damage has already been done, right? How can you sit with someone and tell them to take deep breaths when you just rescued them from a home where they were being raped every day by a family member? But you want them to sit down and breathe. Get the fuck out of here. Don't get me wrong. Meditation is a powerful tool. It's a part of my daily life several times a day. But I was only able to get to meditation. I was only able to get to the idea of taking deep breaths when I uncovered why I was even breathing at all. When you've gone through trauma, the last thing you want to hear is, oh, be calm, take some deep breaths and close your eyes and be still. That's the last fucking thing you want to hear, and I'm keeping it real. You want to know why this happened to you. Why you had to be the one that went through this. Right? And not only that, what do I do now? How do I see myself now? How do I look at myself now? How do I uncover and recover from this? Other than you telling me to be calm and take deep breaths. How do I uncover and recover in a way that this doesn't happen again? How do I uncover and recover in a way that this not only doesn't happen to me again, but any other woman or girl in my community or the people that I love? How do you get to that point to where these aren't generational cycles that we have to continue to heal through and heal from? So, anyway, that's that. So this written work sheds light on a lot of very uncomfortable subjects and topics with, very, again, unorthodox and taboo philosophies. that I was guided to share, that I uncovered for myself in taking my own journey through some of this stuff. And I can't wait to share it with y'all. So I can't wait for those of you who are supposed to have your hands on it to have your hands on it. In a nutshell. In a nutshell. And then the process of again writing. So earlier I mentioned to that editing company that I was possessed in writing this book, that I was literally in my home for 3 months, could not leave because I was being channeled through. It's like the movie Fifth Element, where Lilu, right? She was in the middle of the stones, and the light came through, and she was like, and couldn't move. That was me for 3 months. Okay, write this. Okay, type this out. All right, type this. Okay, research that. I had sticky notes everywhere. Then it was time for another. It's 3 a.m. I'm like, write this. Okay, type that. Okay, get the sticky note. Write that out. Put this in the phone. I mean, notes in my phone, sticky notes around my laptop. I mean, literally channeled messages coming through for this book. I know why this journey hasn't been easy with birthing this work, because there are energies at work when you are called to do the extraordinary. There will be energies at work whose job it is to inhibit you from doing so, to inhibit you from giving birth to what you were called to birth. That will try, whose job it is to inhibit you, to hinder you from doing what you've come here to do, from doing what you were born to do. There will be hiccups. There will be several delays. Like delays in a way where you're like, okay, universe, now you told me, you channeled through me to do this, and now this is a delay, like literally. The simplest thing could be a delay. The Wi-Fi going off for a day, and you got to work with your Wi-Fi company and get the internet people out. That kind of, delays like that. The simplest delays. Oh gosh, it's been an exciting journey. For those of you that it's meant for. So anyway, what other seasonings do I want on here? I did that. I'm going to use a little bouillon and a little vegetable broth. Yes, thank you for the like and for the light. I don't know. I see 333 on here right now. That's amazing. I love when I see that. Speaking of 333, with writing, just being on my journey, period, not just with writing this book, but being on my journey, period, getting those mile markers from your guides, those signposts from your guides, letting you know that this is it, this is it, keep going, this is it. There were moments where I'm like, fuck it. Fuck it, I'm not doing this anymore. Fuck it. Whatever this is, I'm not doing it anymore. So it's been a journey. I look forward to you all getting your hands on it and knowing who you are and why you've come, and sharing that with anyone else that you feel will benefit from the messages, from the philosophy shared in this book. So I just wanted to come live really quickly and share that with you this little bit. I'm going to focus on cooking and not doing so much talking. I'm just going to get into myself for a little bit. Just get into myself. And I'll see you guys on another live, ladies, on another live. Let me know your thoughts. Are you, any of you, been called to write a book, and have you started it? Let me know what the process has been like for you, and where you are on your journey of birthing what you know you are supposed to be birthing. Okay. Talk to you another time. Thank you for joining me here on Fireside Chats for Global Women. Bye-bye for now.